First fans reacting what feels like forever. I know Dave's a little bit short today, so I'm jumping on, but disappointing game, to be fair. I feel like the team played how I felt coming into this, because I was saying to people before, we'll beat these are shit. And it's always the way, isn't it? And I think we're probably well within our right to think that the run that we've been on, and Brentford have struggled this season. But I think the performance, I could tell which way it was going to go after the first 5 or 10 minutes. I think today states the importance of Matheus Cunha, of him going off early. Obviously a big blow for Wolves, but I don't think that was the reason why we struggled today. I think Wolves didn't move the ball enough quickly, but I don't think they were clever enough with the play. Once you go a goal down to Brentford and all you're doing is swinging balls into the box, then I feel like that plays into their hands. They'll defend their box for all day long. There was no real third runners. I know towards the end, Lamina was trying to play that role. Neto had a fairly quiet game. I think they did well to try and neutralise his threat. He was still a threat, but I think they did well to try and minimise that. But just defensively, all over the shop. Sarr on the first one, I've not watched it back. I've literally just walked through the door, but for me, it looked like he was waiting for the ball to drop into his hands. As a goalkeeper, you're told to try and make the ball at the highest point. I think that was the case, but to be fair, you know exactly what kind of Jose side you're going to get from the opening 5 minutes of the game. And there was a couple of times where he played out stupid, silly balls to players with their facing the goal with two players bearing down on him. He's done that a few times this season. Luckily, we've not been caught out, but you just knew what you were going to get from him for the rest of the afternoon. Dawson as well for the second, a real sloppy ball. I think Dawson's been poor the last few weeks. Albion bastard. No, I'm only joking. So maybe Bueno comes in. I think that Gary O'Neill does like the solidity of Dawson usually offers, though, and his leadership qualities. But bad day at the office today. I don't think it was half as bad as some fans were making out, but such is football. You win one week, you're world class. You lose the next week, you're going down. I think it only highlights the lack of additions being brought in with Cunha going off and Hwang not being on the bench. I kind of was it okay with no forwards being brought in, with everyone still being fit. But when you have a couple out like that, then it really does kind of rear its ugly head. But I think that's the same for any team. But bad day in the office, never looked like getting out of first gear or out of bed. And on to Spurs. Be a tough game that, but away from home, hopefully it'll play into our hands a bit more and we're able to break them down and get in behind.
Finished Wolves 0, Brentford 2. A night and day performance from what we had last week compared to what we've got this week. Tough to say, well, what happened today, because I mean the first half was probably worse than the first half that we had at Man United. We were really poor, sloppy, couldn't make two passes, everyone was tripping over the ball. We were playing into Brentford's hands massively, and the fucking donkey that we've got in the number one decides to just fall over off a corner, and Norgard heads in from a yard, if that, probably a couple of inches. If he's still the goalie next season, we've got a massive issue. You can't have a goalie who, one, doesn't command his box, and two, can't kick with his feet. Yeah, he might be a good shot stopper at times, but that's not what goalkeeping is nowadays. It's a big part of it, I understand that, but the goalkeeping position is much more. You need to be able to command your area. You need to be able to kick the ball, and that's something that he can't do. So that needs looking at probably first, if not second, next to the striker role that we ultimately missed today. I don't think it was a be all and end all in why we lost the game today. We played massively into Brentford's hands, whipping balls into the box with their 6'7" centre halves. Selling getting rid of the other two strikers was probably the right decision, because they were both wank as well. But not to get somebody in is really poor. We missed a different option coming into the last half an hour, 35 minutes of the game. We really needed a different option, and poor Fraser, bless him. He was making good runs, but nobody was seeing him. Whether that's they're not trusting him, or the players weren't asked today to pass the ball to him, I don't know what was. But a little note on Brentford as a whole. They are the worst footballing team in this league. I'd hate to be a Brentford fan, having to watch that absolute dross every week of camping behind the ball for 90 minutes and hoping for a mistake or a bad pass that sets you up. It's really, really poor. And the referee today, I'm not going to blame the referee for the performance, but they were from as soon as they scored their goal, they were time wasting. They weren't asked to play football today, and that's ultimately what we've lost to, and that's not good enough. 2 poor first home performances, first halves in a week now. It's not good. We've lost 2 on the bounce at home now. That's not good. So we really need to pick our arses back up. It's all right going to Chelsea and battering them, but then you've got to be able to do it the week after, because we're having one good week, one bad week at the moment, and that's not good enough. So we move on to Tottenham. It doesn't get any easier. Tottenham next week, and hopefully we can get 3 points there.
Right, I've tried to record this video a couple of times and I just end up waffling on or getting too angry, or I'm overall just really disappointed about the performance. To summarise, Neto, Sarr, Dawson, terrible performances. Neto, ball hog, lazy. Dawson, really, really passive and got bullied by Ivan Toney a little bit in duels. And Jose Sarr gave about 6, 7, 8 hospital passes. As soon as you give him time to think with the ball at his feet, he's shocking. Little bit of it, give him no time to think, shot stop, perfect, great keeper. Anything else, tragic. Really good performances today from Lamina and João Gomez, and Tommy Doyle was also good when he came on, trying to dictate play, trying to find that killer pass. Nathan Fraser, I thought, was also pretty positive, winning a couple of flick-ons, making some intelligent runs, just wasn't found. Bellegarde, useless. What does he actually do? Beats a couple of men, has some fancy feet, gets to the byline, stops, turns around and passes it backwards. René Nori provides more going forward than Bellegarde does, and he's the left wing back. And Nelson Semedo was good again today. He pocketed who he had to pocket, but for me, he needs to do better going forward. He's great making overlaps, but as soon as he overlaps, it's like the final ball is not that great from him, or he turns around and passes it to someone else for someone else to do the job, and that's fine. But if you want to be an elite fullback in this league, you need to be good going forward as well. You need to have that final ball, and he doesn't have it like Rayan does. So that's frustrating. It's a frustrating performance because I thought that this would be a winnable game for us because we'd played them and we'd figured them out a little bit. Obviously, they didn't have Ivan Toney, but they're still missing a whole lot of good players. But they've come in and they've done a job on us, and they've annoyed the crowd, they've annoyed our players, they've time wasted as per usual. They're cheating bastards, but what can you do about it? It's the dark arts of the game, and they're really, really good. They're really, really good at that. I thought a fan today was shocking. We were quiet for most of the game, really, until the referee pissed us off like usual, and then we get into the game. Why can't we be into the game from the start? Like, I'm trying to get things going in the crowd, and people are looking at me like, shut up. Why are you looking at me like I'm the problem? You're sat there doing nothing. Like, you're sat there like on your phone. There's a couple of guys in front of me where I sit, and they're watching horse racing on their phone in the middle of the game. What? Get into the... Today did my nutting in several ways, but I did... Positive, I did like the change to the 4. I got a lot of stick in the week from people when I said Totti wasn't very good. He is good. He's all right. He's base level Premier League defender, but he's not going to turn into a £50 million. And I'm happy to be proven wrong, but he's very replaceable. We went to the 4 at the back. We looked a little bit more expansive. Yeah, defensive, a little bit less stable defensively, but I thought the 4 at the back change was actually pretty good. We created a little bit more, and obviously Cunha is so vital to this team that without him, we just struggle to create anything. So I see where he's coming from. See where Gary's coming from when he's done that move. But yeah, I'm really, really frustrated because we're always so close to pushing into that European place. We're so close to doing something with the season. Being a great story coming from these relegation candidates to pushing into the European places, and we're always this close, and then we just bottle it at the final hurdle. And that's not the final hurdle, but it's one of the final hurdles to push on. And it looks like we're going to be stuck in mid-table, which I'm happy with, don't get me wrong, because I thought we were going down. Hopefully we can invest in the summer and try again, but it's really, really frustrating afternoon today. Yeah.
Of the season last week, I think that was probably definitely up there with the worst performance today. Just didn't get started at all. Wayward passes, looked lethargic. No one really looked up for it. Just a really poor start, and it was one of those games you looked at and thought you could just see Brentford scoring first, really. Not then helped by Kuna going off. Hopefully his injury's not too bad and he'll be back soon, but we didn't look good before he went off, in truth, and I'm not sure it made that much difference to the game. Obviously, he's a very good player in very good form, but we were poor even before he went off today. But you just knew as well, if Brentford get a goal, it's 11 men behind the ball, it's time wasting every opportunity, and unfortunately that's exactly what happened. And we've got to stop conceding from corners. We went pretty much most of the season without conceding one, and now that's 3 in a row now. In the last 3 games we've conceded from a corner, so not sure what they've changed, but definitely got to get better and can't keep conceding from set pieces. But having conceded the first goal, you always knew it was going to be an uphill battle, really, with them sticking 11 men behind the ball and us struggling to break them down, which is difficult to do. But everything was just a bit too slow today. There was not enough movement, not enough passion, not enough fight, really, and it was just an all-round poor performance. And Sarr in the first half with a couple of very dodgy passes, good save from one of them actually, and in truth Brentford could have been 2 or 3 nil up at half time, but fortunately they weren't. And then second half, Dawson decides to pass the ball straight to their player in really what was a really poor ball. All he's got to do is lay it off to Doyle ahead of him. Not a difficult pass at all, and he's given it straight to the Brentford player, and they've ended up sticking it in the back of the net. So, but yeah, as I say, just a really poor performance. The substitutes I didn't really agree with today. You know, I give O'Neill credit, and he's got a lot of credit in the bank this season. Don't get me wrong, he's done very well compared to what we expected, but today was poor. Substitutions were poor. Bellegarde through the middle again after Kuna went off. Hasn't worked in any of the other games he's done it. Don't know why he tried it again today. Clearly then changed his mind and brought Fraser on. Thought he was going to go to 4 at the back, which would have made sense with Brentford sitting so deep, but didn't. He stuck with three at the back, with Semedo going into the defence, which I thought then really nullified Neto's threat to a certain degree, because he had no help down that right-hand side. He was down there on his own without Semedo backing him up, which has been so successful so far this season. So yeah, didn't quite understand that one. Even more baffling was then bringing Doherty on for Semedo and putting Aït-Nouri at centre half, which I really did not get at all. You know, when you're chasing a game, you need to break them down. Surely you want somebody up the pitch that can beat a man, which absolutely Aït-Nouri can. But for some reason he stuck Doherty up there instead, which unsurprisingly didn't work. And by the end of the game, we're just lumping the ball up the pitch, hoping for the best. But yeah, very poor performance. Don't know where the referee only got 6 minutes from. It should have been 12, 13 minimum, with Brentford's time wasting and the VAR decision, which was disappointing. You're celebrating a goal and then they chalk it off about 5 minutes later for a toe offside. But ultimately we didn't deserve anything out of the game today. I think we could have played all night and probably not got another goal. But yeah, very disappointing, especially when we've played so well against Brentford in previous games. But I guess that's a sign of a mid-table team, is you win some, you lose some, but we really should be doing better than that, and it takes a bit of the shine really off the Chelsea performance last week.
Yep, guys, it's ended. Wolves 0, Brentford 2. It's one of them, innit? You know you're always going to get these kind of games. You're always going to get, you know, a loss that you're not expecting, and that's football, innit? But that one just really annoyed me today, I think. Just coming off the back of a good win away at Chelsea, you just expect the boys to do really good against an opposition that we're really used to beating, and today, like, just never looked like we was going to. And then today, guys, basically, you got to see the ugly side of football. We've been used to seeing the lovely bright side of football, great football to watch, either side really going for it and everything, and today you just got to see the ugly side. Bad refereeing, just awful time wasting tactics by Brentford the whole game. I don't know how they got 6 minutes at the end. We played Chelsea away, the ball's barely out, two teams really going for it, 10 minutes extra time. You play Brentford, who literally every single opportunity they had today, every single opportunity after going 1-0 all the way to 90 minutes, they wasted time in one way or another. And you can say I'm a salty Wolves fan or whatever, but every single Wolves fan today was shouting the word boring, because it was just so boring, negative football from Brentford. And yeah, that was probably their game plan, you know, frustrate a team that's flying by, you know, getting a goal from a set piece and then just sitting back, and then every single opportunity just making the game ugly and boring to watch. And that was Brentford all over. And you know, if that was their game plan, then it was executed to perfection. But do you really want to see that every week if you're a Brentford fan? Because for me, that was terrible. That was awful to watch. And the refereeing today was absolutely shambolic. It was absolutely shambolic. And it wasn't even just because we lost. It was just awful. Like, everything that could go wrong went wrong. You know, we've got a player that's got an hat-trick in the last game, absolutely flying. No one stopped talking about him. He gets injured, and he's probably, I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but he didn't look very good. He had his hands in his head on the floor, bit like when Neto went down, and you just knew, didn't you? Oh god. So he's probably going to be out for a bit. And to be honest, without Cunha, I thought we looked really toothless today. We really just kept going. We did, and that's the Wolves that we love to see. But there was just no end product at all. It was very much like the Wolves of old, where you could just not even see who was going to score. You know, we had a goal disallowed for offside, and again, yeah, they probably did get the right decision, but it took an absolute age for them to decide. And yeah, it's great that we get to see after, but when they're checking it, why don't they just put up the screen of what they're looking at, so that the crowd isn't so frustrated? Because it's so boring and frustrating to just sit there and see whether a goal that you've just celebrated is even going to count or not. Let's just get rid of it, man. Just get rid of VAR. It probably did come to the right decision today, but no one wants to see goals like that disallowed. No one wants to see that. The linesman should be doing their job, and if the linesman's doing their job properly, then it's disallowed. Just, if it takes that long to decide, just get rid of it. No one wants it. No one wants it. Even when it goes for us, I'm still bored of it. Just boring game of football. And no one will ever want to watch that again. And I mean, the highlights of that today is just going to be their 2 goals, which one came from a corner again, and then one came from Ivan Toney, who you just absolutely would put your house on him scoring, and he probably would as well, wouldn't he? The betting wanker. Oh, yeah, it's a really frustrating one. It's one of those that's really hard to take, but you know what? We'll go on. We'll go on, and if Brentford play like that every week, and that's what you want to see as a Brentford fan, then I feel sorry for you. That was dreadful. Anyway, guys, I'll see you for the Tottenham game.